tonight. Welcome all here in the Bali. Nice to see real people in real space. Welcome all the virtual viewers at the other end of this live stream. We'll have an evening of music, research and emotion, which is in fact the formal close of the Amsterdam ABC Summer School on Musicality that we had in the last 2 weeks. I'm sitting here with two of my colleagues, Fleur Bauer and Ashley Bourgogne, with whom we organized this summer school, together with Makiko Sadakata, not here tonight, 7 tutors, too many names to mention, and all the staff of the IIS. We had an exciting summer school on the topic of musicality, the capacity for music. Tonight, we will honor a well-known scholar in the field of cognitive and systematic musicology, who, for at least 2 decades now, has been influential in his thinking and contributing to many music-related disciplines, including psychology, neuroscience, and biology. And that is Professor Dr. David Huron. I will do it. It's with great pleasure to award you, in the name of the Amsterdam Brain and Cognition Center and the Interdisciplinary Institute, the Institute of Interdisciplinary Studies. We always call it IIS here. We're very happy to award you the 2021 Honorary Friday Chair in the Cognitive Sciences. Congratulations, David.
Thank you so much. Let me say that I'm pleased, honored, and humbled by this. And on occasions like this, it's of course hard not to think of the many people who've helped me along the course of my career, especially mentors and teachers, but also collaborators and students. I've had the great privilege to have lived in a rich intellectual environment, and I'm grateful to the many people around me who've helped to make my work possible. And also let me add that I'm also greatly indebted to the many more people I don't know personally, whose writings and ideas have inspired me over the years. It's a great pleasure to have one's mind on fire. So thank you for this, and thank you all.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, Henk-Jan. And of course also my congratulations to Professor David Huron on receiving this award. So as Henk-Jan has mentioned, David has had a profound influence on the field of music psychology, and he continues also to have this influence, well, through us, I suppose, since he's worked on so many topics that many early career researchers build on the work that he has done. So for me personally, I brought this book, Sweet Anticipation, written by David Huron. I read this when I was a PhD student, and it led me on the path of studying expectations in music, which is still my main topic, because the idea that surprise in music has this really profound influence on how we perceive music and how we experience music that I still find fascinating, and David explains that in this book. So his influence works also through the next generation of researchers, if you will. So maybe Ashley, you could also say something about that.
Yeah, for me, the influence was a block lecture that David Huron gave on the west coast of the United States while I was an undergraduate on the east coast of the United States. Of course, I didn't see that lecture in person, but I learned about it very quickly when I became a graduate student and saw musicological education changing underneath me as we moved from being a data-poor field to a data-rich field. But in particular, David Huron really changed the way I thought about statistics, and not to just take too seriously what they do in medicine, but the idea that cutting off a good idea too early because of a statistical test can be just as damaging to musicology as claiming something that isn't true. And it encouraged me to really learn how to think about these things well for myself, and made me the researcher who I am today.
Thanks. Yeah, so David has influenced many of us on many different topics, but as Henk-Jan mentioned, he's also very much known for his work on sad music and why we listen to it. And Diamanda has already provided us with a little bit of sad music at the beginning of this symposium, and to be honest, I enjoyed that a lot. And the question is, of course, why? Why would I enjoy listening to sad music? So I'm really very much looking forward to learning more about that in the keynote lecture, and of course also to discussing it later. So we have two experts in the panel. And we have Dr. Saiki Louis from Northeastern University. She's an associate professor there. And she is an expert on music in the brain. And so she knows a lot. Hi, Saiki. Yes, there's Saiki, zooming in from Northeastern University. She knows a lot about music in the brain and about the neurocorrelates of how we perceive emotions in music. And with us here in person is Dr. Mariska Kret, Associate Professor at Leiden University. And she is an expert on emotions in humans as well as emotions in animals. So that will be a very interesting take on how emotions work and also how emotions work in music. After the panel discussion, there's also room for audience questions, both for the audience that's present here, but also for the audience that's at home on the live stream. So I'm also very much looking forward to that. But before we do all that, I'm very honored to give the floor to Professor David Huron for his keynote lecture on why we like sad music.